Recently, I've been trying to get in better shape by hitting the gym and making better food decisions and all those things that make a person generally healthier, but the most important thing is staying hydrated. Hydration is one of, if not the most important things to living a healthier and better life, and Liquid IV is your best ticket to achieving that goal. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, which is pretty significant. I really enjoy Liquid IV because it's easy to take. It's easy to take with you, which makes it super convenient, whether it's after the gym or if I need to pick me up in the morning after a night out or just a boost of hydration while I'm at work. Staying hydrated is so much easier for me because of Liquid IV, and I think it can do the exact same thing for you. Also, if you're worried about the flavors, don't be. They've got strawberry lemonade and lemon lime, which are some of my favorites, and they are very good, but they got plenty of other flavors, so you'll find something you like for sure. So if you want to start getting and staying more hydrated, you should try some Liquid IV. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code BADMOVIE at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code BADMOVIE at liquidiv.com.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you some breaking news. There's been reports all over the area of something crazy going on, something big. People's homes, their minds even, are being taken over by something called, what is it they're calling it? They're calling it Bad Movie Debate.
What up, nerds? We're here with a quick review of Immaculate, the new Sydney Sweeney horror movie that just came out. Anyway, it's out in theaters right now. I think everybody should go see it, and I'll get into why here in a little bit. But first, let's set the scene. So, Immaculate is a new religious horror movie directed by Michael Mohan, written by Andrew Lobel, and starring Sydney Sweeney. Everybody knows who Sydney Sweeney is. That's kind of self-explanatory. Michael Mohan and Andrew Lobel, though, I looked at their IMDb pages, and they do not have a lot of credits to them. They've both worked on, separate movies, never together. But like nothing like really crazy or like noticeable or like something you would like have heard of, honestly. Like, I mean, maybe somebody has heard of their other work, but I sure as fuck hadn't. So these people are new to me, and I think they did a phenomenal job. So anyway, so Sydney Sweeney plays Cecilia, a young woman who moves to Italy to join a pretty famous convent kind of out in the country of Italy after her Detroit parish fails due to like low attendance and like low funding, and just like it just wasn't working out, and she gets like a letter from them at this famous convent in Italy to like join them, and she jumps at the opportunity. It's God's plan. Pretty cool. And she goes and she's learning, she's got to learn Italian because most people speak Italian. There's some people who speak English. So there are some subtitles. You got to read some Italian, read some English while they're talking Italian at least, but it's not that bad. So don't let that deter you by any means. But, she's there trying to learn Italian. She's taking care of sick and elderly people, washing sheets by hand and gardening, slaughtering chickens, all that shit that you do when you live as like a nun and have like a impoverished life. Like one of your vows when you're a nun is to like pretty much be poor. But like you don't want for anything, you don't need anything, just enough to get by, which is a choice for sure. But like all that's going on, she's doing all that and everything's kind of cool. She's into it, like the priest that's there, like they're getting close, like they're pretty cool. And then like the bishop of the area, like he's around sometimes, like he seems pretty cool, and the mother reverend seems pretty cool. Like they're all pretty cool, like everything's cool. She's making some friends. She's got like one sister who seems jealous of her and stuff, so there's some human tension there and everything, and so pretty par for the course kind of story and stuff. And then she starts noticing, Sydney Sweeney starts noticing, like there's a group of nuns that are walking around sometimes, and they're like all in black. Like usually there's like the white on their habit, but they're like all black head to toe, and they have these like red mesh mask on that make them completely featureless and like unidentifiable. And she's like, okay, that's some super fucking weird shit, but I guess it's just a part of like how they do it here, whatever. And then she starts to notice some pretty standard other creepy bullshit that you would expect in a religious horror, and it's Yeah, it's all pretty standard religious horror. You know, she's a nun in a convent, and like we know it's a horror movie because that's what we signed up for. It's pretty obvious it's a horror movie. And then it kind of changes. Like about halfway through, it changes into less of a religious horror and more of like a human like horror, like humans as monsters, like a monster human kind of a thing. Like not like a what you call it, not like a Cronenberg body horror kind of a thing, just like there's some bad people around, and like that's really what's going on here, and it's really cool. It's really cool because I mean I got to about halfway through when I was like, okay, this is pretty obvious demonic horror shit. Like I've seen it a million times. I'm tired of it. Like this movie's probably not going to end up being that good, but I was blown away by the end of it, and I don't want to get too out in the weeds or like well, not out in the weeds, but too specific about like what it is, because I think people should go see this movie because it's really kind of what's the word? It's just it just like exceeded expectations. It was pretty obvious what it seemed like it was going to be, and then it just wasn't that at all. And I really appreciate that because it starts in a very, very predictable religious horror way, but it evolves into like a human monster story that is just completely unexpected, and it's fucking awesome. And that's what makes this movie so good, because like I feel like most movies these days, especially horror movies and especially religious horror movies, are so freaking predictable at the end of the day. Like Conjuring 3, for example. Conjuring 1's really fun, it's really good. Conjuring 2 is not very good and has more of a feel of like a superhero movie, with the supervillains being ghosts and demons and the superheroes being the Warrens, who were once again pieces of shit and not great and abused people and took advantage of people all the time when they were doing their bullshit. They were pretty fraudulent. Some of the stuff that came across might have been pretty cool. It might have been pretty real, but the way they just went about everything was super annoying and fucked up, and like they suck. So they suck, to be completely honest. Boo on them. But regardless of all that, The Conjuring 3 was so boring and unscary and so predictable that Austin, who's horrified, for everybody, Austin, you know, she's been on the show, my beautiful wife, she is not big on horror movies. She fucking hates them, but we have this thing where I make her watch a horror movie every year. And I made her during COVID. We couldn't go to the theaters and watch any new ones, so we watched, and they were doing them, you know, like streaming them at home, like almost immediately too. And I was like, let's do Conjuring 3. You've seen Conjuring 1. And she's like, yeah, unfortunately. And I was like, let's just do that one for this. It probably won't be too scary. And she's like, okay. And she was all ready to go, like all scared, like ready to get spooked. And by the like midway point, we were both looking at our phones because we were so bored, and it was so predictable and not scary because it was like obvious when the jump scares were going to come. It didn't do a good job with like the tone and like the tension and just the atmosphere of everything. And you could literally be like, okay, and 3, 2, 1, jump scare. And then like the plot was just obvious and predictable about how they were going to go about doing it and saving the day. And they do, and blah, 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 blah. And that is really boring and like makes me not want to go see, because I like demonic horror movies. Like I like movies that like religious horror movies where it's like it's a demon or like it's like some kind of like evil supernatural entity and stuff like that. And like I like that kind of stuff, but they've just been so, for the past like since The Exorcist, so the past very long time, they've all been kind of the same format where you have a religious person come in and they beat the demon and, you know, like all this bullshit. And no matter what kind of story it is, no matter where it's set, no matter what time period it's set in or anything like that, it's just all the fucking same at the end of the day, it felt like. And that's why I really like this movie, because it doesn't do that. It makes you think that's what it's going to be, and then it flips it into a completely different kind of story that, as someone who was raised Catholic, what the bad guys are trying to do at the end of the day is like super fucked up in terms of like religious dogma, like Catholic dogma and stuff like that. So I was, it was really exciting for me because it was like, wow, that's super fucked up. This is cool. And like, and it just doesn't take that predictable like path for horror, and then like the horror that comes along and like what's actually happening. And like, it's not so much, there's not really a lot of jump scares and stuff like that, which is pretty obvious and like what you want, or what, not what you want, but what you expect in a demonic kind of a horror movie. And this one is very minimal on jump scares and has is more about, it's more of like the tone and the atmosphere and like just like the concept of what they're trying to do that is the horror of this. It's not a roller coaster ride horror. That's what I call movies that are like very horror movies that are very surface level. Like they scare you just by jump scares and get your heart rate up and your adrenaline pumping, and then by the time you leave the theater, you're over it and stuff. This is much more atmospheric. It's going to linger with you as you think about it. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, that was so fucked up what happened and what they were trying to do at the end of the day and stuff. So hopefully that doesn't spoil too much for you and you still want to check it out, because I think everybody definitely should. Because like, again, especially with religious horror, like it's so obvious. Like anytime there's like a new demonic based movie coming out, like I'm kind of like whatever. And like I only went to see this one because I wanted to see Late Night with the Devil, but I saw this on Monday and this one ended right before the eclipse started, and the other one started right as the eclipse was about to start. So I was like, well, I guess I'll go see that one later, which I'm gonna go see that one this upcoming Monday and maybe talk about that one more too. So stay tuned for more on that, because I heard from Amelia, who's been on the show, that it's apparently really good. So I'm excited for that one as well. And hopefully it does something similar to what I'm talking about here, where it defies expectations, because that's like a demonic kind of a movie too. And if that one does this, I'm sure it's going to be just as good, if not even better. That one looks better than this one, to be honest. Hopefully that one's an 8 or 9 out of 10, but we'll see. This one definitely a solid 7 out of 10. I'm still staying with that. It just did something that I did not expect, and that is something that I need from more religious horror movies, or just horror movies, or just movies in general. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen Anyone But You, the other Sydney Sweeney movie that like just came out, that's like super popular and everything, and that seems like a pretty predictable rom-com where like, it's like, oh yeah, like they're pretending to be together just to make other people jealous, and then they end up together, probably, right? If I'm wrong, let me know. But like, that seems to be kind of what happens in that one, and it seems like it's kind of obvious just by watching the trailer, which is again why I don't like watching trailers. So I didn't watch the trailer for this one and I was pleasantly surprised. So again, maybe don't watch trailers for stuff that you're excited for. Just be like, cool, it's coming out, and just go see it with as little information as possible. That seems to be the way to go, in my opinion, because I literally knew, I was like, oh, a horror movie with Sydney Sweeney, it's religious horror, I'll check it out. And that's all I knew, and I was blown away. So movies need to do two things these days. They need to stop giving away all their secrets in the fucking trailer, which I already have a whole episode where I bitch about that. So go back and listen to that if you want to hear more about that, because my rant right now is more about exceeding expectations. And like, everybody's all like trying to exceed expectations, defy expectations, and do something new and stuff, but none of them do. They have the same fucking stories over and over and over again with different people, different time period, like different setting, like different everything. But when you break them down to their core, they're the exact same fucking movie all the damn time. And it's like, I'm just kind of tired of seeing the same demon horror movie over and over again. I'm tired of seeing the same rom-com over and over and over again. That's why I really liked my favorite musical of all time is La La Land, because it doesn't do anything that most musicals do. It does, like, there's all the songs are very small, intimate, private moments, not these big illustrious things where the entire city knows the entire fucking choreographed dance and like the songs and the music and stuff. It's like personal, intimate things. And that one doesn't end on a happy note. Like, it ends on like a real, like, actual note, like something that would actually happen, like It's not like, and then they live happily ever after. Like, so that movie, that's one of my favorite, like that is my favorite musical, one of my favorite movies ever, because it doesn't do what you think it's going to do because of the expectations on what kind of movie it is. And I feel like a lot of people don't, I don't know. It's like, I feel like Hollywood specifically just doesn't seem to get that we've seen these movies before. Cause like, I mean, there's a lot of people who, like won't watch movies that are like black and white these days and stuff just because like they just don't want to, they're not interested in the classics. But there's a lot of people who do and stuff, there's a lot of people who do watch those kind of movies and like have seen all the classics and stuff like that. So like I would say the majority of people who are going to the theaters like aren't brain dead. Like, and even if they haven't seen the classics before, they've seen some version of this story already before, whether it was on TV or they saw that same fucking story a year ago in theaters when a similar movie by a different production company, a different cast and crew made like the same story. So like, it shouldn't be a race to get the newest version of this story out. It should be like, take your time to tell a good story that is different and like unexpected. Because I'm telling you, man, if this movie ended up being exactly what I thought it was, where, demons came in and they had to do an exorcism scene and like all this crap, like I would have been pissed. It would have been a huge waste of time. I would have like seen it, you would have seen it coming like a mile away. And by the time it got there, you'd have been so disappointed. Cause like I try to not make predictions on what the movie's going to be about. I like to just let it come to me, like experience it and like let it be told to me without thinking like, oh, this is what's going to happen. Or like, ooh, I think this is what's going to happen. Like, I don't like to do that. I like to like just experience it without trying to guess what's going to happen along the way. I want them to tell their story to me and I will listen, with bated breath to see if it works out. But when you get stuff that's like, when you get so many versions of this like religious horror, demonic kind of movies and stuff, like it's impossible to not start expecting certain things to happen. And when they happen, you're disappointed, even if it's kind of different. It's a different demon. They're not like, they have to do this exorcism in a pool, like at the gym, because it's a demonic gym. Like, what the fuck ever. That's probably going to be a movie next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's like dumb as hell. So I just feel like Hollywood needs to just come up with, we just need some more originality. We've seen these stories. We've heard these stories. We've read these stories, book reading, like the rate of reading in the world has gone up, like astronomically. And like these stories are being told like in some books too. Like I've probably read more books that I have found interesting and different than I have seen movies in the past year. And with my job, I'm able to listen to a lot of books at work. And I've listened to a bunch. Some of them are similar, yeah, because mostly listening to a mystery thriller because that's kind of my jam when it comes to audiobooks. But some of them are super surprising and stuff. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this in a movie. Or like, wow, I was so surprised and shocked like by how that story went. That's awesome. And then you go see a new movie and it's like the exact same movie you saw last month or 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 months ago or 2 years ago. Like, like it's repetitive and annoying because that's all we get. That's all we're getting. We're getting like 5 stories from Hollywood with just different dressing and they're so predictable. And like, I feel like people are smarter than that. And I feel like people want, I know I want, let me know if you're happy with the same story with a different cast and crew every year. If you do, that's fine. Just keep going to the theater to watch them so theaters stick around. But I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more originality and a little bit more expectation defying kind of a thing. Which, again, is why I'm giving this movie a 7 out of 10. Because it did that. It would have been a 4 out of 10. Don't waste your time. You've seen the movie before. If it didn't make that turn about halfway through and go in a completely different direction that I had never seen and never had thought of. I was like, wow, I've never even thought of this as like a horror plot. This is awesome. And Sydney Sweeney did an incredible job. I didn't think she was going to be very good for a role like this, but she is she can scream queen, man. Like she got into it. She went all in on this, and I think she did a really good job with this role. And I was very pleasantly surprised by that as well. You know, and then all the other acting is good. You know, there's some missed beats and stuff like that, which is why I'm bringing it down to a 7. Some missed opportunities for stuff. Like once I realized what happened and like got done with it, I'm like, well, they could have like, you know, played this out a little bit more, like foreshadowed like a couple things a little bit more, maybe foreshadow stuff a little less once I realized what was going on. Like, and there's just certain elements that's like, well, I need more. Like I wish I got some more of that because it's only about an hour and a half long. It's a pretty short movie, which I don't think they shortened it too much. But I think making it too much longer would have been bad. So I think they kind of nailed it in terms of pacing and everything too. So overall, definitely a 7 out of 10 on this movie because it absolutely defied my expectations. Sydney Sweeney included in her acting in this role. And it gave me an opportunity to rant about how movies need to be more original like this one. This was a very original take on religious horror that you would expect to be so obvious and like, well, I already know what's going to happen. Why did I even come to this dumb movie? And then by the time you leave, I promise you're going to be like, actually, that was pretty wild and a lot different than what you would expect from something like this. So more movies need to do what Immaculate did. 7 out of 10. Go see it in theaters. I'd say they deserve to do a good job with this so they'll make more movies like this. People want this. Again, if you're happy with the same story being told a million different ways, but it's the same story you've seen a million different times, that's just fine. But I need a little bit more, and I think a lot of people out there listening to this agree, and we want some more originality and some more new stuff. So do it, Hollywood. I know there's big Hollywood people who listen to my show every week, so you heard it from me. Do better, like this movie. Give this writer and this director more opportunity to do cool shit like this. Give Sydney Sweeney. She's already got all the roles in the world that she wants. She's the it girl right now, so she'll be fine. But I'd like to see her in more roles like this. So yeah, if anybody sees this movie, let me know what you think about it. If you completely disagree with my entire thesis of expectation from movies, that's fine. Let me know. I'd love to talk about it more. And defend my position. We're all about debating on this show, obviously. So that's it on that. Follow on Instagram at Bad Movie Debate, all one word. That's the only place that you can get any news about anything for me because tried to get on. Last episode, Nick kind of brought it up. So tried to get on TikTok, and then they after 2 weeks of being on there, just kind of looking around, working on my algorithm, not posting anything yet, they banned me for absolutely no reason at all. I hadn't even posted anything, and I tried to contact them, and they just keep ghosting me on why they banned me from there. So I will never be on TikTok, I guess, because I somehow greatly offended them. I don't know if they thought I was a bot, and I tried to prove that I wasn't a bot, but literally couldn't have done anything wrong because I only had it for 2 weeks, and I scrolled through it once a day for like 5-10 minutes and never even posted anything, but I somehow fucked up in a way that offended them dearly. But so just Instagram these days. Bad Movie Debate. Buy some Liquid IV. That would be very helpful so I can get some more shit going and focus a little bit more time on this. So appreciate y'all out there. Let me know what you think about this movie. Gonna hopefully be seeing Late Night with the Devil soon. And yeah, good year for horror. There's a lot of good horror coming out. Already got 2 good ones coming out right now. This one, Immaculate. Go see it. And I'll let you know about the other one, Late Night with the Devil, as soon as I see it. So a peace.